A fox in the flower shop. There are trillions of stars in the cosmos. Each of those stars are their own little universe, as identical, yet very different. One realm may be even exactly as yours, except bunnies were hunted to extinction. This may end up not causing the realm to look any different than yours, outside of a few unexpected events. On the other hand, with such a massive shatter event, this could completely change the landscape of the realm. It is these details that causes an infinite number of realms to bloom, like flowers. Every flower blooms the same, but some bloom through adversity, and others bloom through hardships. Even still, some bloom despite being stripped of nourishment. I have come to call some of these flowers anomalies, because no matter what realm they exist in, they find a way. Do not be mistaken. This doesn't mean they find the same path no matter what realm it is, but more that their fundamental core remains intact, even if their shell may have been altered from the bombardment of shatters. One such anomaly is a fox by the gentle name of Clover. In your universe, there are a fox criminal that potentially evades taxes, but ultimately lords over you through fox supremacy. In another universe, for their violent crimes, it was determined that foxes be placed in captivity until brought to slaughter from the very prey they hunted. As you could probably suspect, this has led to the near extinction of the world's fox population. However, one dares to hide in plain sight and offers flowers to their enemies. This is where we will begin our tale for the night. I look around to get my bearings, and like some realms, I immediately know what one of the shatters is as I pick up a poster that says, "There is no good fox, so there can be no good if there is a fox." A shatter is an event that occurs that makes the realm become altered from other realms. This particular shatter is clear as I see more propaganda posters. "Foxes are why we can't have nice things. Don't be a fox. Pay your taxes." A bit harsh, but I see their thought process. If you don't pay taxes, the government that oversees the society of lower life forms cannot provide service to their citizens. I see how easily those that were preyed upon by foxes quickly use propaganda media to have them exterminated to the brink of extinction. There is a second thing I notice in this realm that makes it different. It isn't a shatter, but more a crack that continues from the shatter. There are no rich or poor. There are so many different life forms, but none of them have fangs. Everything is highly regulated, so much to the point that I observe children at play until an older child taps their watch. They all stop playing and return to their quarters. A few minutes pass and the streets are quiet. Of course, they might not be streets. No vehicles exist in this realm. Probably has to do with the fact that vehicles give an individual certain opportunities others wouldn't. So everything is based on everything being equal. More time passes, and then I hear sirens. And now I see I was wrong in saying that there are no vehicles. No vehicles for a citizen. Soon the streets are packed with armored vehicles that say hunters on them. These were humans that were dressed to exterminate. The vehicles made frequent stops, moving down the lane, stopping at every door to find something. What that was, I wasn't quite sure. I decided to observe and listen to these brutes as they continued their investigations. You know the only bad thing about a Chinook going extinct? I don't have more to hunt down. Ugh, these are starting to get boring. I mean, one Chinook against even one of us at this point is just a slaughter.
Is that complaining, Hunter? Hold your tongue. This isn't a sick pleasure trip. This is our role in society. We eliminate Chinook because if we let even one slip through, our entire society will crumble. Also, you haven't even seen a Chinook, so this leads me to believe you are glory hounding. If that's the case, you can quit being a hunter now.
Oh, come on. Do you have to take things so seriously? Chinook aren't even worth giving a passing thought. Find one, then exterminate. Move on to find the next one.
Clearly you don't understand why we exterminate them. Have you heard of the Flower Shop Slayer, Ricky?
No. That doesn't sound very scary.
They have slaughtered 832 hunters.
What? I mean, well, it's a lot. That's a lot of hunters. What does that have to do with a Chinook?
Every last one of them was left with a note that only said, "Fox crimes, you're next." So you tell me, Rookie, are you here for glory, or do you understand your duty to society?
I guess I should hold my tongue.
Exactly as I said. Fulfill your duty and pay your taxes. That is how society operates.
So why do they call him the Flower Shop Slayer?
Oh, it's because of the number of confirmed kills. The number currently is also the same name of the flower shop on our route. Florist Hachimitsu number 832.
I seem to take notice of the flower shop they speak of. I've seen this flower shop in other realms, but those ones flourished more so than this one. This florist Hachimitsu number 832 had simple flowers, a few pink roses, a tulip here and there, and beds of clover among some other odd flowers. I watched as the hunters walked in and were greeted by a green-haired individual.
To be in clover. There they are. What do you have for us?
I watched as the uncharacteristically quiet individual brings out a series of different colored flowers. There was one flower that stuck out though, a black rose, that the rookie picked out. If it means the same as in other realms, this would not bode well. I noticed that as the hunters talk boisterously in their shop, they remain silent, even when one of the hunters carelessly knocks over the one very extravagant vase in the shop. Instead, they just go and clean up the broken pieces of what used to be a beautiful work of art.
To live so carefree. It must be nice. Well, this was our last stop for the day. Let's head back to base and end our night with our favorite thing, paperwork.
And with a bunch of groans, the hunters left the flower shop. I took this moment to walk into the flower shop. As I opened the door, I hear the chime of the bell that I missed because of the rambunctious nature of the hunters. Just as with the hunters, though, Clover steps out from the back where bees are buzzing around them. I definitely noticed those were not present when the hunters are around. I quickly shoo them away as they see me step in the flower shop. They just point to two signs. The one atop the register that says, "Please feel free to choose from our lovely floral selection," and one at the bottom that says, "Bring your selection to the register, and we will wrap them for you." Of course, I look at the signs, but then I look at the trash bin behind the counter to see the pieces of the vase. That'll be a shadow for another universe. But that's another tale for another time. I do say something that is relative, though. What would you say if I was looking for a vase? One that was purple, with sakura blossoms painted on them? I saw one here the other day. I watch as their eyes widen, but they do not say a word. I have to coax them to say something somehow. Do you remember when I was here last time? They shake their head no. Are you sure? They nod their head yes. Do you always forget your customers, or do I need to wear a hunter uniform for you to take notice? I see the anger on their faces as it builds up. I did not expect what happened next.
Manuka, we have an unwelcomed guest.
Suddenly their horde of bees swarm behind them, and one very spirited bee flies from their cardigan and orchestrates the swarm's movements. In an instant, I'm surrounded by dozens of buzzing bees. I would recommend you call off your friends. I'm not who you think I am. In fact, I'm not what anyone thinks. I am but an observer, unless I need to do more. So I will ask again, Clover and Ari. Call off your friends. We were at a standstill. And of course, of all things, it had to be bees. Bears and bees don't always make for nice encounters. Clover isn't dumb, though, and they understand I am not enemy.
Manuka, stand down, I guess. Who are you and why are you here?
I took a moment to observe them. It's uncanny how you were just like them, but you have used a defurrification beam to look like the vile lower life form known as a human. Unfortunately, the beam doesn't get rid of one important aspect: your fangs. I understand now why you don't talk. I'm sure there are 100 vile things you'd like to say to those hunters, but the minute you open your mouth, they would have you either restrained or exterminated on the site. Tell me, the one that took the black rose, he's going to die, isn't he? He looked at me with a straight face.
It's a fair system. I don't force anything on them. They choose their own fate. I just show them what flowers to pick from. I think it's very fair. More fair than the fate my people were given.
Chinook. As they growl, I realize that word was perverted in some type of slur. My apologies. Foxes.
It's unfair. I pay my taxes. I do my best to do the right thing, what's best for society. Yet all because they think I might overthrow the government, I can't even show my damn ears.
I was surprised at what they were saying. Another clover from another realm doesn't pay their taxes. Another clover never does the right thing. And yet another clover... Well, we won't talk about altar clover right now. I take a few moments to take it all in before I respond. So, 832 is a very high number. A number that doesn't go unnoticed. So, how is it that it is? I put a new vase in the spot where the broken one used to be, and put a flower arrangement inside.
It is a high number. So was 420. And then 720. 1 kill, they investigate. 2 kills, they try to find patterns. 100 and it becomes a KDA. You know what happens after 420? They try to sweep it under the rug. So after that, it's easy to get to 832.
I see. They're assuming you're making a house call for their plant. And since you don't speak, they just assume you're doing it out of the kindness of your own heart. And once the opportunity presents itself, you strike. Very clever. It's good to see you possess the wit that any clover should have. So my next question is, how do you do it? I watch as Clover places another flower arrangement into a vase before placing it opposite the pedestal that they had placed the previous one on.
I already told you, I don't do anything. All I do is show them some flowers to choose from, stop by to make sure the flower is being well tended to, and that's it. I told you, I try to do the right thing.
Before I open my mouth, they have the bees pull up a newspaper clipping.
The flower shop slayer has blonde hair, tightly wrapped in a ponytail, and is clad in a black form-fitting outfit. That clearly is not me.
Yeah, right. It wasn't them. At least not them that should exist in the same realm. I darted back and forth from Clover to the artist's rendering of the flower shop slayer. This was far more than just a shatter. This is a rare oddity, an anomaly, and their altar existing on the same plane. I apologize for misspeaking Clover and Ari. Surely you have some connection, though.
Nope. Just that they tend to target someone with a black rose. As I said before, it's the fairest way of signing their own death warrant. I add in the selection because I know they will strike. I don't know why, and I don't care. Would you care about an enemy dying when they have a significantly larger number than your people?
I scoff under my breath as I turn to leave. I don't care about anyone dying. It's just what happens. I leave the floor as Hachimitsu number 832 with more questions than were answered. An altar typically only exists if something dark shattered the actual anomaly. That shatter creates a second plane in the realm, a dark and negative plane. If whatever triggered the shatter keeps growing, the altar breaks free from the second plane and consumes the anomaly completely. So seeing Clover and hearing the description of the flower shop slayer completely changes that. Is this realm different that somehow they both exist on the same plane? How can that be possible? I decided to flash forward to nighttime and observe Clover visiting the young rookie, just as naive as ever. He opens the door and lets them in. That black rose really is something special. Something ominous about it. I hope it can live as long as me. It's pretty cool. Clover plays their part. The young mute florist that tends to their flowers without uttering a word. They water the rose with their little capybara watering can. An adorable watering can where the water comes out of its mouth. The rookie ignores Clover after a while, till they leave a set of instructions. Huh, what's this? Oh, duh, it's instructions on how to care for the flower. I was expecting more pages. Wait, what's this last page say? All the pages fall to the ground as we find an answer to both our questions. His shirt becomes soaked in blood as a blade is thrust through him.
It says, Fox Crime, you are next, filthy human. Feel honored. You are 833. The Shonok will take back their title as soon as 1,000 of you are vanquished.
As they attempt to leave the scene, I stop time so we can talk without interruption.
Wait, where's the thud?
I stop the time flow. The body will fall when the time flow moves again. So another altar Clover. I'm not surprised given the shatter event of this realm being the eradication of your kind. Clever to use your normal form as a guise. How do you do it?
What do you mean, how do I do it? And what is an altar? This is my true form. The other form is what happens whenever I'm hit with a defurrification beam. Which is flawed since I still have my fangs, despite being defurried. What a lame beam if you ask me.
Right. My true form. The shadow was strong enough that the altar Clover is the Clover of this realm. There was no need for a dark and negative plane. This is one of the darkest timelines for Clover and Ari. They can't be their own self. They have no one they can relate to. They have no one because if they were to reveal their true self, they would be murdered. However, their vile human form can't communicate to find friends. So they're trapped within themselves. So how many of the Shinnok remain?
One. Me. Just me. It's been like that for a while now. Yet, they still fear that we will somehow take over and society will crumble. They still spread propaganda. I'm starting to think that they are using the myth at this point to keep everyone under control. I don't care. Do you understand how frustrating it is to be the only you that exists?
I look at my hand and form a fist. No, but I'm starting to. I normally don't interfere, but this needs Kinetsugi.
What does an ancient art form have to do with anything?
You may not believe me, but I'm an Ursa Seraph, a high being of the cosmos that travels to many realms to observe any strange changes. These changes are shatters because they can create a new or many new realms. Sometimes it's for the better. In many cases, it's for the worst. In this case, it's one of the darkest I've seen. Clover and Ari, if I told you that you could trade your powers of your true form to be able to show your ears in public, would you take it? And watch as they have a confused look on their face.
What are you talking about? None of what you said makes any sense. Other realms? Shatters? This is the darkest you've seen?
Then they suddenly sheathed their blade.
Yes, 1,000,000 times yes. I don't care if this other me was just a Shonok that played games all day. I don't even care if that meant that I had to be a capybara. I don't care if I had to wear a maid outfit. What good is this power if I can't even say hi to the cute ice witch that lives across the street because I can't say anything?
Sadly, completely rebuilding this realm would be something I want to do. I will do something. Not right now, though.
What? Then why did you even bring it up? What's the point of even asking me the question if you aren't going to do anything right now?
Just like all the other Clovers, inquisitive. I shall resume the time flow. This human will die, which was inevitable anyway, and you will hit yourself with a defurrification beam, then go home to your flower shop. You have suffered through so much, but endure just a little longer. Typically, Seraphs have several rules they must follow. 1. They cannot use their abilities to destroy something. They cannot use their abilities to rebuild shattered realms. They cannot interfere with lower life forms. As an Ursa Seraph, however, I am devoid of these rules. I follow them, though, until I see that they need to be broken. Such an instance is ensuring that dark timelines are repaired so that the stars shine through among the cosmos, so that together the stars shine bright. Clover left the scene with a look of defeat, ears flopping down. I could tell that giving them the knowledge that somewhere there was another Clover that never had to go through this has filled them with sorrow. Soon, very soon, your heart will know emotions that it has never known. For now, though, I will see how these hunters operate. Many moments pass from the time of Clover's departure. I watch as several hunters storm the defiled home. I listen to their leaders speak many words about the fallen child, words that are ultimately wasted on a vile being.
We lost another to the Flower Shop Slayer. That is 833. But they will not be remembered by this number, but as a hunter. His life will be fuel for our fires to ensure that no Shonnek is left alive. Humans united to neutralize the threat of evil, rebellious Shinnok. We will go on patrol tomorrow with a different tune to march to. We shall find this Flower Shop Slayer, and we will bring their justice.
The irony of those words is that justice will be served. Unfortunately, it will not be in their favor. Tomorrow, this star will shine bright again, like gold filling the cracks of a shattered vase. And so tomorrow comes. Just like what I observed when I came into this room. Everyone retreated to their quarters as the hunters patrolled the area. Once again, we ended with a visit to Florist Hatsumitsu number 832. This visit would be different somehow, though.
To live in Clover. I'm sure you're tired of hearing that. Do you have another selection of flowers for us?
Just like before, Clover lays out several flowers. The leader of the group looks at the black rose.
You know, it's funny. Every time someone picks up a black rose, they don't last to the next sunrise. So very, very strange. You know, the government wants us to ignore the death of 833 valiant hunters, because if we were to say anything, it would make the citizens question our abilities. That we can't even stop one Shonnek. So what is the point of the hunters? You pay your taxes, right, Clover?
They pause for a moment before slowly nodding their head.
So, in a way, you pay for these services. And yet, you let one of us pick up this stupid black rose, only to be slaughtered by the Flower Shop Slayer. Don't you think that's a waste of your taxes?
Clover shrugs as a response.
Hunters, we're seizing this flower shop. If you find a black rose, you burn it. Turn this place inside out.
Clover finally reaches their breaking point.
You can't do that. I am a tax-paying citizen. I did nothing wrong.
Several of the hunters aim their weapons at Clover. Their leader shakes his head with an evil grin.
I should have known. Saving this for the last spot on our patrol always has been a mistake. We were giving you so much time to prepare your silly little disguise and set up your trap. It seemed out of place for a florist to give away their flowers for free. How do you pay your taxes doing that? And now we know the truth, you filthy.
I walk in with a black-haired demon with rose glasses. She looks stunned at the hunters, almost as if we got the hunters about to commit a heinous crime. I walk over to the hunters and look closely at their weapons as I address the demon. Oh, don't be alarmed, Lucy. After carefully looking at these weapons, they apparently have something written on them that says, "For they who pay taxes should not fear my axes," meaning if you pay taxes, these weapons can't hurt you. And the gold is starting to pour through. Lucy storms out of the flower shop screaming at the top of her lungs that their nice mute florist is about to be slaughtered by hunters despite paying their taxes. Everyone rushes out into the streets as they all watch hunters take Clover into custody. The hunters are suddenly now being seen as the vile humans as they are, and it doesn't take long for the citizens to turn on them. A snowball is hurled at them, and then a fireball, and then fairy dust. No longer the lauded and feared hunters, they are seen as the true vile creatures they are. The gold still has more cracks to repair. Excuse me, hunters. May I ask the florist a few questions?
Who are you? Get out of our way. You cannot talk to this filthy Shonik. They are marked for extermination.
What exactly makes them filthy?
They don't pay their taxes.
I've seen the painstaking expense reports, though. That not only shows how much taxes that needs to be paid for Florist Hachimitsu number 832, but they also pay their own personal taxes. How would they run the business if they didn't pay their taxes? So there must be another reason, yes?
Well, they commit crimes.
Ah, I had forgotten. Giving free products is a crime. A victimless crime that some would say is only place to stop people from giving to the less fortunate. I would say that the law is a filthy thing here. No further questions. Everyone, if you'll find it in your heart, please let this Shinnok know that you appreciated their company. This is, of course, the last time you may have the chance, unless you do something unexpected. And with that, I did not directly intervene. I watched as the people quickly make it clear to the frustrated hunters that they will not be leaving a Clover in custody. They quickly abandoned their duty as all manner of things were thrown at them, leaving Clover in the center of town.
But even if one fox is alive, society will crumble. It's what the government always says. Oh no, the defertification beam is going to wear off any minute now. Everyone will...
I watch as they start panicking. I snap my fingers, and the restraints disappear. Perhaps it was supposed to crumble. It wasn't a very good society, after all. And did you say that you would do anything to be allowed to show your ears in public?
When I said that, I didn't mean like this. Now everyone will...
An altar Clover emerged to a surprise. The whole town began shouting, but not out of fear or anger, but out of joy and intrigue. The Ice Witch from across the street was the first to introduce herself, and had many questions about their furry tail. Many of them involved how it works in the winter, and soon the black-haired demon started sketching the scene. Soon, a hummingbird fairy and a Nekomimi were asking Clover to join them in a game. The one thing they feared, if they were to show their true self, did not come to be, and yet they came to me with a sad face.
This can't be normal. I slayed 833 humans. Like you said, that is a very big number. That isn't zero. I put 833 to death. Are we going to ignore that?
And as I had said, death is something that happens. It's a force of nature. They would have reached death eventually. You were doing the vile creatures a mercy. By my estimates, they would have only lived longer to do more evil deeds. More despicable acts they could not come back from. They had tarnished and stained souls. You, Clover Inari, are simply bringing them to justice. Now enjoy your newfound freedom and friends. With this Kinetsugi, the star will shine bright again. So I have a favor to ask of you. Clover looks at me with a raised brow.
You're asking me for a favor? I thought you were some all-powerful bear thing. Can't you just do it yourself?
No. This is something that only you, Clover Inari, can do. Well, only something a Clover Inari can do anyway. I need you to enjoy life and share that happiness with others. Even if it's just playing video games. Give your blade their much-earned rest. Use these hands, which have long been used to destroy, to create.
I was told the Shonik were good at doing that, so I don't think that would be too much trouble. Can you do me a favor now?
You're asking an Ursa Seraph for a favor. Best choose your words carefully. This favor could be very costly.
Listen, I pay my taxes. I think I've already taken care of any costs for an entire lifetime. I want you to tell that other Clover that even if they think all they do is play video games and embarrass themselves in front of hundreds of people, they are doing so much good in their universe. They are inspiring others to be who they are supposed to be in their heart. That they should cherish their friends, because in another universe where things turn out different, those friends only know you as something to fear. That they are amazing and wonderful, and that they can do anything they set their mind to.
I smile as this Clover just lets their emotions gush out. I don't need to tell them that, Clover Inari. You've already told them yourself. And as the town gathers to celebrate their newest old friend, I vanish to another realm, to only observe unless I have something to do more. And thus, that is the tale of a fox in a flower shop.